Welcome back, everyone. Nick and Lex here. Thank you so much for joining me to a new episode of Music with Nick. Today, I got a marathon lined up. Amazing material. I wanted to thank, of course, Great Scott for this, for sponsoring the video, for sponsoring the marathon. And this is going to be something else. We're going to do some ELP. We're going to pretty much do some songs to finish up the first Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and then I'm gonna do 2 songs from Trilogy. So all in all, we're gonna do 4 songs. They're all pretty much epics. We're gonna do the 3 Fates, and that is put into 3 parts as well. The first one says Clotho, then Lachesis, and then Atropos. So the 3 Fates, this is from Emerson, Lake and Palmer debut. This is from 1970. I just love that cover. Then we're gonna also do the song Tank from the same one. All right. And all right, also we're gonna do from the album Trilogy, the one that's usually behind us right there, but it's not put up. We got some David Gilmour and some Yes put up in the back. We're gonna do Abaddon's Bolero from Trilogy and Living Sin. So strap in tight, get some coffee, like a snack or something. It will be a longer video, but hey, we're here to enjoy ourselves. So get ready, and we'll see each other in a couple of seconds. All right, here we go. So thank you so much, all everyone that's subscribe to the channel, for your huge support, and then everybody who's a newcomer as well. Thank you for being here. For maybe if you're into ELP, you like what you hear, and maybe you might subscribe. So thank you for that. So here we go. Let's react to some Emerson, Lake and Palmer progressive, progressive masters, and here we go with the 3 Fates. Here we go. 1, 2, and beautiful. I love, oh my God, I'm Keith Emerson is just was just I think he wasn't on a different level mentally. But I love all the classical masters he's channeling through the music. Even though sometimes being dissonant on purpose, I kind of love that. And that church organ, I mean, that must have felt so incredibly cool to play. I don't even know how they would mic that, but um, being born in Germany, there's a lot of churches. There's a lot of churches. So we would pretty much, being born a Catholic and raised, in Catholic school and stuff. So I was around a lot of church organs, of huge proportions. And so you can pretty much pinpoint down how big it is, by listening to it. So this sounded huge. There's sometimes these huge, they're just massive pipes, and I've always wanted to like play one, just touch it, but they're all kind of like you can't really get to it. It's amazing. But this was beautiful, just what he was playing, and it's obviously very, um, yeah, it sounds like all sorts of like classical periods, but it's just wonderful how he plays and how much classical influence you can hear in his playing. And there's a lot of people who say that this music is fusion, and I'm like, it's not quite fusion, because fusion is more jazz players playing rock. This is rock players playing more stuff with classical elements. I think prog rock is full of everything, but it's not being performed. It's more performed by players who play classical music, and jazz, of course, like Rick Wakeman and Keith Emerson and stuff like that. But it's like, it's so funny that a lot of people just don't want to hear that name even mentioned, like progressive rock. They just say it's just fusion, and of course it's fusion. It's a fusion of different musical elements, but basically fusion is more when jazz players play rock, and this is prog is when rock players play even crazier rock, mixing everything together. So I don't know, but I mean, it's a little bit of a debate, but that's how I understand it. And also, I mean, it does seem like he is improvising, but maybe not. Like in fusion, there's a lot of improvisation, and I think that he would play the three fates exactly the same, maybe mixing it up a little bit when he's live, but he's sticking to his stuff. So, well, it's just a thought that came to mind. So let's continue with this master. It's just amazing how this guy plays. Oh, nice. Okay, some blues. Wow. Wow. It's insane. He's like playing the blues scale, a melodic minor, then chromatic, then he's going into a diminished scale. And it's just insane how there's no pretty much, I mean, he is pretty much improvising now, I kind of like shot myself on the foot here, but I've never listened to this, so I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't want to overanalyze anything. I just want to enjoy the music and be taken on this ride. But it's just amazing. There is no limitation here, as far as music goes. These people, they're just on a different level. It's amazing. Wow. Almost playing like like merengue. This is a very Latin infused but it's like almost like he's like, okay, this is how it's gonna sound, guys, like maybe in 100 years, you know. And then also the just fantastic. I mean, it does it does have a Latin flavor here, but it's just like, you know, it does have a little bit of, it just, I don't know. I mean, on purposefully, again, there's this dissonance, and he just wants to mess with us, you know, musically, just to see that I can do it, you know. And then, because I mean, you can't really dance to this. I mean, you can, but it's not, it's just there so we can hear that he can bend the rules even of a Latin or Cuban, you know, like style, or I don't know if it's, you know, samba or merengue or something, or salsa, but it's definitely Latin. and at the end it's like the whole thing just explodes. Beautiful. I'm just such a fan of Keith Emerson. May he rest in peace. What a musician. Right until the end, you know. Wow, it's just so admirable. And I wish I would have seen this band live at least once, but you know. Okay, so this one is Tank. Let's go with Tank. Same album. Here we go. Wow. Wow, man. Wow. Oh, dum 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 dum. No, I'm just kidding. Black Knight. But I mean, I think Carl Palmer is I mean, really one of the greatest drummers who ever lived. You know, I mean, just for their debut to play this, and all the, you know, those harmony parts right there, like the bass and the keyboard, like, and then this is just insane. I mean, for the year this came out, there were just like, it was sickening. It must have felt like sending shockwaves through the music industry. Like people, like, I mean, like 2 years prior, I think Zeppelin came out. What what was their reaction? They must have been like, what are they doing? You know, they're like, we're playing, you know, this, it's more like a almost like a distorted blues here, you know, and then these guys are playing like, what is this? I must have been just insane to witness this music coming out and then just being like, so what are we gonna do now? You know, what are we gonna do now? But then again, I mean, they're a different genre. Led Zeppelin is not progressive rock; it's just, you know, rock, hard rock. You know, diving into like metal, but even though they have never been admitting that they are in a way, I mean, Immigrant Song, if that's not heavy metal, I don't know what it is, you know. But yeah, this is just fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful music, beautiful mastery, like literally. Wow. Wow, beautiful scale there. Yeah, this is just, it is really like kind of like, I guess back in the day you could have still said, well, this is it is fusion. It is because there, I mean, there, let's be honest, there is a lot of jazz in this music. There's just a lot of everything in this music, and I don't know, I mean, I'm kind of like prepared for this because I might not understand it perfectly, and the theory behind it, because I'm not looking at the chords, so I'm not like, oh, okay. and the progressions. I'm just like, this is the first time that I'm taking it in, but I think I did listen to a lot of fusion for like basically I would say half of my life when I started listening to fusion by accident, and then getting into, you know, Demiola and stuff like that, and Holdsworth. And I think when you listen to Alan Holdsworth, you pretty much uh you don't get, it's not so shocking for the mind, after listening to Holdsworth for the last like I don't know, maybe like 18 years. I'm still obviously very surprised, but I'm not like so shocked, like what's going on, musically I'm not that lost anymore, thankfully. But that's only because my mind has already been kind of like shaken, so I'm not like freaking out. But I'm sure that at the time, I'm not even Holdsworth was, I mean, Holdsworth was already playing stuff like this, but when you listen to Alan Holdsworth as a whole, the whole discography and everything, his body of work, and then you're done with that, and then you have ingested it for years and years, and then you listen to this, then I think the shock factor is not as big, because you're already kind of used to this densiveness, of music. It's just beautiful. Like everything played here is just completely insane and beautiful. It's just masterful. I love it. I'm going to take a small little break for water, but I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I did have like 3 glasses of water. It's almost like I'm dehydrated now. This music makes me thirsty. No, I'm just kidding. I was already thirsty. But man, what a great, I mean, so far, the Three Fates and Tank. Wow. So this one is going to be from Trilogy from 1972. And I'm going with the deluxe editions, with the remasters, just because they sound so much better, I guess. I mean, that can be debated, but I mean, I do trust Steven Wilson with the stuff. And yeah. So wow, there's a lot of stuff that we haven't heard on here. Oh, wait a minute, but they just repeat them. Okay. All right. So okay, well let's go with abandons Bolero. Okay, here we go. Maybe we get some Carmen in there or something. Who knows. Some Ravel. Come on. I love his arpeggios. Wow. John Williams, I see what you did there. Da 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 dum da 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 dum ba dum bum ba dum. It's like literally Star Wars, but 7 years before Star Wars came out. Beautiful. Yes, it almost sounds alien, you know. I love it, and I couldn't help but think, it's like, what if Stanley Kubrick would have hired, you know, Emerson, Lake and Palmer to compose the music to 2001? That would have been insane. I guess in 2001 he used more conventional classical music, you know, but it would have been a trip, you know, if he would have hired like a progressive rock band, you know, maybe not just Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I think David Lynch did the same thing. I mean, he hired Toto, which are incredible. I didn't know that Toto was so good until we started this channel. You know, their body of work is amazing. I only had heard Africa and stuff like that, and but I always knew that the soundtrack for Dune, and I was like, what does a rock band have to do with Dune? You know, but then I got it. They're incredibly diverse, and even I didn't even know until like 2 weeks ago that John Williams' son is part of Toto. It's insane. So he has a lot of inspiration. Okay, so we're gonna go with the last one, and also I wanted to touch on a subject that a lot of people, like the elite music listener, like people, let's say, that have been listening to progressive rock for 40 years, they come on the channel and they say, well, what the hell do you know? You know, and I'm not trying to analyze Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I mean, I could never. You know, if you would maybe show me the sheet music, I would understand, but I'm just listening. I'm just taking it in, and I'm not trying to, you know, hash out every single musical like idea that they're doing. I can't even do that. Like, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to enjoy. And yes, things come to mind, you know, and maybe some things that I say, it's not, maybe it's not correct, and maybe I'm totally off, but it's just the first time reaction musically. I mean, I guess I know what's going on, but I might be wrong, you know. So it's just like some people are like, hey, and you're just embarrassing yourself, and like I could never understand this type of music. And I think that's not fair. Just because you've been listening to it for 30 years or 40 years longer than me, doesn't mean that you understand it more. I'm not even trying to analyze it. I'm just trying to enjoy it. But I mean, musical ideas do, you know, kind of like come to mind when I listen to this, and I guess that's the idea of a reaction video. I mean, somebody who doesn't know anything about music, I don't know, maybe they would be totally overwhelmed, and maybe they would say, well, you know, that's the best music I've ever heard, but they didn't understand the intention behind the music. But it's just, you know, there's always going to be people in the comments that are just hateful. You know, it's sad because we're supposed to share this, and I'm going to share this with my kids once they're, you know, once I have kids, you know, and but I totally would. And maybe they're born in, you know, 2030, who knows, but I would still play them this music because it's timeless, you know. So I think we should be more accepting of other people. Just because I'm, you know, I was born maybe, you know, 20 years after this came out, doesn't mean that I will never understand it. I think that's unfair. Just wanted to add that because there's a lot that happens to a lot of, like, to me and Alexia and other reactors in very heavy, you know, and music that's very thought-provoking and that's very difficult to understand. And but I think anyone, you know, has the ability to get behind, you know, and take it in and enjoy it, you know. Okay, now Living Sin is the last one. This is a short one. We played all three long ones. Now this is Living Sin. It's on the shorter side. Let's see what that's all about. Let's go.
Will you stand up or will you freeze? That savage woman make you pleased? inside, outside in.
Still you don't know where she has been.
Sin.
Can't you see through? She's gonna realize the way it's on you.
Took you, never saw it coming. Hooked you up with Coca-Cola Connie. Nice and slippery.
Wow, it's just so cool. It's so good. It's so the musical ideas are so bizarre and so just original and still, hold up. I mean, still listening to this right now, like okay, this came out in 72. I mean, I mean it still holds up so well, it's so new. And a lot of bands will never, I don't know, maybe they just are not searching for that out pour of ideas, but it's so good. And kudos also to uh um the singer. I think I was just looking that he pretty much plays the bass and the guitar. Greg Lake, I mean, and obviously a super accomplished bass player, vocalist, guitar player. I mean, it's just fantastic. And then I mean the three, just that trio is, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There's so many good trios. Rush is another one. Um I mean, even bands like ZZ Top, I mean, they're just rock guys, like southern rock, but beautiful. The way an ACDC is ACDC 3. No, I think those are 4. But well, it doesn't matter. There's just amazing musicianship going on. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Great Scott, for choosing this. This was wonderful. Thank you for giving me the opportunity, to sit here and just take this in and try to, understand it as best as I can. But like I said, I'm not trying to say, oh, I know what's going on, and not at all. I'm being humbled here musically, and that's what's going on. Let's be honest. But it's also not cool, like, to tell someone who's trying. I'm really trying to take it in and enjoy it, and then the only thing that comes up, I mean, most of the comments are positive, but hey, you know, stop trying to embarrass yourself. Like, why? You know, what's the need, man? Just stay off the internet, you know, honestly. I would say to that person, because that's what I read. I was like, what? I would never write this to anyone, you know, like, you know, because there's a lot of videos like rapper reacts to yes, you know, or I don't know. And why humiliate that person just because he listens to a different genre, or maybe he's not a musician at all. Maybe he has no clue what's going on. You know, maybe he doesn't even know what instruments are being used. Let that person enjoy the music, you know. You know, that's what I tell to people who are overcritical. And I know when it comes to my favorite music, I'm very defensive. That's how we are, you know. But I think there has to be a limit, you know. But thank you so much, everyone, everybody who's a Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan. You had an amazing, and you still have an amazing body of work that you can enjoy forever, pretty much. Thanks to recording, and but to have been living through this era and see them live, and man, that must have been amazing. I mean, we have our own stuff, you know. Nowadays we have our crazy prog artists, and there's new people emerging that are pretty incredible, you know, as you might have seen in videos, you know, like Matteo Caruso, I think is his name. Then we have Thomas Dawson, who's literally like the next Holsworth. There's so much. We have, you know, little Angelina Jordan, who sings like Billie Holiday. So there's people in this world that are taking the music scene by storm, just the way it happened, you know, 30-40 years ago, and or 50 years ago. So there is still hope, you know. I know there's a lot of bad music being made right now. It's a horrible time for music, but there's still people who dedicate their lives to make good music, you know. So let's focus on those and enjoy. So thank you so much again for being here. I hope you did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.